Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with some more Higurashi. Last time we got some Tomoe lore during her training arc and her conversation with the deceased guy's girlfriend. How they think it's a murder and stuff like that. Her um conviction to solve it. And then we're pretty sure it's like some residual Hinamizawa syndrome, but we'll see. Maybe there's something deeper going on. But yeah, let's just start. Monday, October 11th, 1982, public holiday. We're driving. I guess working on the public holiday. Because it's not really her job. Maybe. Tomoe stepped out of the car and stretched her back. After going round and round, round town searching for a place to park, she finally found a narrow, temporary parking lot in one corner of the downtown area next to the station, so she parked her car there. Oh god. Wait, did she go to like Okonomiya? Maybe? I don't know. Since this was a fairly rural town, she could see cars both large and small parked along the small street. Apparently, parking enforcement in this area was quite lax, but as a detective, she couldn't intentionally break traffic regulations. As she walked away from the parking spot, she noticed cabaret clubs and bars lined along the road. In all likelihood, the thugs who came in that car were headed there. A detective's car parked right next to the gangster's car? How bizarre. Where are you at? Her mind had fogged over after driving down the slender, meandering mountain roads. She couldn't relax even for a moment. In one particularly awful moment, she relaxed off the accelerator, thinking she was approaching a slope, but then a hairpin turn suddenly emerged. A chill ran down her spine when she remembered just how a short time ago she almost broke through a guardrail and plummeted to the bottom of the valley. Yeah, that's pretty rough. She suddenly recalled what she heard from the regional affairs staff the other day. The number of people relocating to Tokihogushi City from other prefectures had skyrocketed in recent years. Among them, an especially significant number were moving there from Okinomiya and its neighboring village Hinamizawa. After paying the manager of the parking lot, she began looking over the cityscape once again. The area in front of the station had developed more than she expected. It looked far more crowded than her grandmother's version of Ibaraki. A housewife. I was gonna say I think they're alluding it's Okonomiya, but the backgrounds actually look a little different. Maybe it's because it's a different season. I guess since we technically never see Okonomiya or Hinamizawa outside of summer. Housewife on the way home after shopping rang the bell on her bike, then swerved past Tomoe. A group of children dressed in baseball uniforms came around the corner up ahead, making a fuss, and passed beside her. The kids were happily heading home from a game, all with smiles on their muddy, sweaty faces. Tomoe got lost in their mood as she watched their little bat walk off, before eventually turning around. But just then... they brawling? Tomoe suddenly came to a halt when she heard a loud noise coming from the direction she had just walked from. Feeling a bit concerned, she retraced her steps to check it out. There was a vacant lot just behind a small alley, and 3 motorcycles right next to it, each laying down on the ground after being knocked over in a domino reaction. The classic bit. I mean, it's obviously a bit now. Whenever there's beef in Otonomi, it's because someone accidentally knocks down fucking motorcycles, man. Jeez, the bikers should just learn to park somewhere different, honestly. It's just the curse. The Otonomiya motorcycle curse. Do you love hearing the delinquents, though? Who did it this time? Any character we know? What the heck? Wait, oh. This is before she moved to Tokihogushi. Look at Natsumi, man. What the heck? New drip. The rural drip. It's kind of swaggy. What the heck? It's like a summer dress with the plaid shirt on. It's kind of swanky. Why are they beefing with Natsumi, man? Imagine. And right next to where the motorcycles fell, there's 3 young male delinquents threateningly surrounding one other person. It's hard to see around the backs of the boys, but the fragile, trembling voice sounded like it was coming from a girl. Worth more than our lives. That's like a cell phone. The girl's voice was getting smaller and smaller, and Tomoe could hear sobbing midst in. As soon as she heard that, Tomoe let out a sigh and stepped into the alley. She could see the girl's face in the gap between the boys. The girl with the hair tied into buns on both sides had a terrified, tear-filled look in her eyes. Of course, dude. Of course they would go there. Seeing the situation unfold with no context, Tomoe was more exasperated than enraged. She shook her head. At least back in Tokyo, these stereotypical delinquents had gone completely extinct. Moreover, the 3 of them were ganging up on a single girl. It was well beyond cowardly, truly deplorable. Truly. The thugs that Tomoe knew were better than that. They had an unwritten rule not to be violent towards women. The countryside thugs are built different, apparently. True. Surprise Tomoe. The boys turned back toward Tomoe all at once. They looked so pissed off they were ready to chop someone to bits. But they regained their composure as soon as they realized their enemy was a lady. Their expressions warped into nasty smiles. The girl who was surrounded had a relieved, "I'm saved" expression on her face as she anxiously watched on. They think some reckless woman passing by stepped in to help the girl. They probably think she's some sucker armed with a leech. The true weapon of champions. Weapon of housewives, the leech. Bro, honestly, if someone came up to to me in an alley dressed as Tomoe, I'd run away, dude. That drip is fucking... It's good. It looks good and it's terrifying. The all red drip.
決まってんだろ俺たちと一緒にいいことしに行こうぜ暇してんだろ夜まで楽しませてやるぜどうだ姉ちゃんよ悪いようにはしないからよ
どうだろうこのツッコミどころ満載の誘い文句は
She thought for about 2 seconds for something emotionally scathing. I was planning to say something about their disadvantage, but that seemed less relevant than expected. And so Tomoe stared at them with a faint smile and a disgusted look on her face. Then, it's a lot of years. Oh my god. It's kind of a sit diss, honestly. Owned. Good one, actually. Pop. Tomoe was trying to keep things peaceful, but that one sentence drove her over the edge all the way to send them to hell.
言い忘れてたんだけど、私には NG ワードがあってね。一つはガキ。年下に見られるのはいいんだけど、ガキだって言われると最高に頭にくるのよね。
True.
これでも結構童顔だっての気にしてるのにさ。てめえ。もう一つは男。これはさっきのやつよりも強烈にもう問答無用って感じに許せない。どこをどう見たら男だ?
I mean, to be fair, she does look kind of boyish haircut, boyish shape-ish, but still cute. Yeah, a little. I don't remember how tall she is. That's also true. Oh shit. Oh my god.
じゃ、最後の質問。君たち、生命保険入ってるかな?
Well. Oh my god, not the auras. You know it's fucking over that. Just straight to the Sea of Fragments. Actual good one. Jesus. Fucking punch the souls out of them. Tomoe decided that was enough punishment for these delinquents, so she let them make their escape and watched them go with a huge smile on her face. She was carrying an extendable baton in her jacket pocket just in case of an emergency, but it apparently wasn't even necessary. For the time being, Tomoe turned back toward the girl who has been absentmindedly watching that punishment for several minutes now. She smiled at the girl and tried talking to her.
大丈夫? 平気です.
She didn't appear hurt, so apparently they were only threatening her with harsh language. Tomoe heaved a sigh of relief after verifying that.
手に血が. ん? はあ、大丈夫よ。俺
No. Tomoe smiled at the girl while wiping it away with a wet tissue. It was a bit painful, but she held back, so it wasn't broken. She thought, probably.
込んでよ、関係ないって。市内持ってくればよかったな。
Imagine Tomoe with the sword amp. Was there something weird about that answer? The girl burst out into tearful laughter. Her laugh was positively adorable, so Tomoe couldn't help but laugh along with her.
ほら見ろ。笑ってくれる人もいるじゃない。
Tomoe pictured the face of another person with no sense of humor and cursed them in her mind.
助けてくれて本当にありがとうございました。私、別にいいって。でも、こんな人通りの少ない路地を女の子。
It is also try not to knock down motorcycles. Because obviously the delinquents were at fault with all the aggression and stuff, but can't really blame people for being mad for doing that to an extent.
次からは気をつけた方がいいわよ。あ、はい。ちょっと近道をしようと思っただけなんですけど。
The girl hung her head and sounded terribly apologetic as she said that. Thinking that she was speaking a bit too much like a guardian, Tomoe cleared her throat, then continued in a jovial tone.
それにしても最初声がした時はどこの動物園のゴリラが脱走してきたのかなって思っちゃったわよ。
What that?
都会だったらもはや天然記念物に近いわね。この町のやつらなの？多分違うと思います。私この町で
Well, I have a funny story for you, because we've seen, I don't know if they're the same delinquents, probably are the same delinquents, but we've seen delinquents in this town. Multiple arts. That moment, as soon as she heard the word city, the girl's expression stiffened.
じゃあ、あなたは地元の子？あ、いえ。今年の春に引っ越しして、今日は里帰りなんです。
Oh, so she is in Kikuchi and she's just visiting back in Okinomiya. That made sense, because this is a year before Somatsushi and stuff like that, which she was already in Kikuchi, so I was a little confused, but that makes a lot more sense.
そっか、連休だもんね。本当は私も里帰りのはずだったんだけど。
Thanks to this, she had to disappoint her grandmother. Although her old-fashioned grandmother would encourage her to be doing something she enjoys rather than relaxing at home. Suddenly, Tomoe looked down at the collapsed motorcycles, crouched down and took a note of their license plates. They were from another prefecture, just as the girl had suggested. Not only that, but the cover under the keyhole was broken, probably stolen. Weren't those bikes stolen in like the classic Delinquents too? And from another prefecture? That's funny. It's a common, I guess Okinomiya is a common stop for delinquents who steal motorcycles. When she saw that, she pulled the notebook out of her breast pocket and quickly wrote down the license plate numbers.
何？ひょっとして警察の方ですか？ええ、そうよ。と言っても今は休暇中なんだけどね。
As soon as she found out Tomoe was with the police, the girl's face suddenly turned nervous. It was a typical reaction, but it was a bit disheartening considering she had just helped the girl.
家って近いの？もし怖かったら途中まで一緒に付き合うけど。いえ、大丈夫です。本当にすみませんでした。あ、ちょっと。
The girl began walking away with her head down, but Tomoe suddenly called out to her. Then she thought about asking the girl just for a name, but stopped herself. Nobody really enjoys giving their name to the police. That's true. So instead, good strat. Yes, I was gonna ask how. But I guess you can just ask the police station for Minai. Her face was backlit, so Tomoe can make out her expressions very well, but the girl bowed her head once more and then quickly left the area. Even after she went out of view, Tomoe stopped and stood there for a while. Ooh. This is the saucy coffee shop. I remember, like, in this, I think it was the Studio D in Higurashi anime, there's, like, this weird-ass character in the shop that wasn't, like, in the visual novel at all. She just looked, like, weird. Like, important. But she was just a character. The main spot was a fairly secluded coffee shop. So she's definitely meeting a Wishi. When she opened the door, she heard the characteristic ringing of the bell in the coffee shop. She felt the strong scent of cigarette smoke the moment she entered and couldn't help but grimace. There's Big O, he's back. A hand like a log. What that? Is that a compliment or a diss? Was conspicuously waving at her from a table a short distance away. Though acting aloof, his facial expression had a crafty sharpness to it. It was Detective Oishi from the Okinomiya station. Yikes, imagine that's your greeting.
風船じゃあるまいし、そんなに短期間で変わったりしませんっての。
しかし今は便利な技術がありますからね。寄せてあげるなんとか、あるいは美容整形とか。
I feel like he's flying close to the moon here.
そんなもんに金使うほど裕福じゃありません。
She's playing Alanda.
あんまり言うとセクハラで訴えますよ。
Oishi's large belly shook as he let out a booming laugh. It seemed like he started talking like that more and more as Tomoe got older. At this point in time, the ratio of her respect and disdain for him were close to reaching the tipping point. It was reprehensible.
まずは何か注文しちゃってください。ここはパフェがなかなかいけましてね。ああ、私はこれのおかわりで。
甘いものは今日はちょっと。あ、ホットで。
For now, Tomoe submitted an order, then turned to have a look around. There were no customers in the shop. It was quiet enough she could hear the baseball game on the TV, in the counter area, some distance away from their seat. The host brought over the coffee she ordered and then turned and headed back to the counter area. After confirming that, Tomoe leaned forward and spoke to Oishi in a hushed voice.
で、お電話で話した件ですが、大石さんにちょっとご協力をお願いしたいんです。
私にできることでしたら何でも言ってくださいな。善と有望な警部さんに貸しを作っておくのは魅力的なお話ですからね。ただ、私の協力料は少し高いですよ。
鹿島桜3本。
3 bottles.
純米酒の特急で、当時の1号蔵のやつを送りますよ。
さすがともえちゃん、よくわかっていますね。
She was actually planning to give it to him anyway, so it was no additional expense, although Oishi probably understood that as well.
じゃあ伺いましょう。その事件の話、聞かせてもらえますか。
はい。まずこれを。
Tomoe pulled out the files she had secretly borrowed from the Ibaraki Prefectural Police Department and laid them out on the table, explaining them to Oishi one by one. Oishi burned through 5 cigarettes while silently reading through everything and listening to her story, then finally spoke up.
それで、その男の子の彼女さんは何と言っていました？
もし自殺でないのなら、殺したのは竜宮玲奈じゃないかと。彼女が呪い殺したか、それとも直接やってきて殺したか。まあ、両方とも可能性はゼロに近いですけどね。
It was if it was the latter, there was no way she could have avoided being seen at the hospital. I was about to say they have like cam footage. And more importantly, Reina Ryudu didn't seem to have a reason to kill him in the first place. And the former was utter nonsense. If it was possible to kill someone with a curse, there would be no way to catch evildoers. Do I have a story to tell you, Tomoe? With that in mind, Tomoe wasn't just skeptical of supernatural phenomena, but outright denied it.
親代様のたたりね。以前お伺いした時から少々気になっていたんですが、確かに本人が知りもしないのにそのことを口にして挙句の果てに飛び降りた。ただの自殺や事故にしては妙な感じですね。
県警の捜査一課長は殺人の線で見ているそうで、私も同意見です。本来なら一見捜査に当たるのですが、面識のあった子なので、せめて分かる範囲だけでも知っておきたいと思いまして。
いやいや、その考え方は立派です。ああ、皮肉とは取らないでくださいよ。これは私が本気で思っていることなんですから。
あ、いえ、そんなことは。
Tomoe scratched her head as she said that. For some reason, these days she had trouble accepting praise from other people. Her tendency to doubt people was a bad trend.
それにこの被害者は私の依頼でともいちゃんが調べに入ってくれた子です。ということは私も無関係というわけではない。喜んで協力させていただきますよ。
助かります。縄張り違いの私がこの町で大手を振って捜査活動を行うわけにはいきませんので。
そんなことはお気になさらなくても。そのための広域捜査官の肩書きなんでしょう？
いえ、それはそうなんですが。
When Oishi pointed that out, Tomoe responded with a vague, forced smile. Even with their wide area investigator title, cases like this that cross between the Kanto and Shubu regions still cause problems. So, Tomoe's intention was to hand things off to Ibaraki Prefectural Police after finding some clues.
ただ、だからといって途中で放り投げたり、安易に人に丸投げしたりするのは後味が悪いですから。結局、自己満足だとよくわかっていますので、解決さえすればそれで十分です。
相変わらず欲がないですね。実績を着実に積み上げていくのもキャリアさんの出世に大きく関わってくるんですよ。
準キャリアですよ、
The
私は。
quasi.
それにこの件では私の関与が知られると、実績よりも始末書の数が増えるだけだと思います。他の方にもご迷惑をおかけするかもしれませんし。
そんな性格ですね。
Oishi smiled as he said that. Behind those words was a concerned old man thinking, then you could just ignore all of this in that case. Indeed, if she kept quiet and let it slide on account of it being outside her jurisdiction, that would be the end of the story. It wasn't Tomoe's fault that Kohei Sawamura died, nor was she particularly close to his girlfriend Nagisa. Besides, the relevant precinct gave an evasive answer saying it was a falling accident, but Hanjo was going to escalate it to Prefectural Police Headquarters to take the investigation more seriously. Even without Tomoe's involvement, the situation was slowly turning around.
でも、だからといって全部他人任せにはできない。私が約束したんだから。
That thought was probably the main reason Tomoe insisted on being so selfless. But Oishi could never resent her for that. In fact, deep down he respected it, as though she thought she was dependable.
それにしても、お社様ですか？以前、大石さんに頼まれて調べたときは、特に気にしていなかったのですが、何なんですか、それって。
ああ、ともいちゃんにはちゃんと説明したことがありませんでしたね。お社様ってのは、隣のhinamizawa村に古くから伝わる守り神。
Sorry, Oishi. That was an Akasaka style pause.
それって人々に最悪をもたらすことで信仰心を煽る存在のことですよ
Yes,
ね。
Hanyu is the bringer of calamity.
ねえ、その通りです。そしてお社様はhinamizawaが鬼ヶ淵と呼ばれた大昔の時代から村の人々を畏敬と恐怖でもって支配していた。
Then Oishi lit a cigarette and began telling an old tale in a hushed tone.
hinamizawa では昔鬼たちが
Oh, time for the
暮らしていたと言われています。
regular Hinamizawa lore.
そして彼らはたびたび下界に降りて
Classic.
人間をさらってはその血肉を食らっていた。その鬼と人間との仲を取り持ち共存できるように仕向けたのがいわゆるお社様でした。
だったらいい神様じゃないですか。それがどうして魔がつ神だと？
鬼たちは人間たちと共存しても従来の習慣である人食いをやめることができなかったんですよ。ですからお社様はその行動を制限付きで許すようになった。いわゆる生贄ですね。人間たちにとってはたまったもんじゃありませんが、まあ無差別に食い殺されるよりはマシということでそれを受け入れてきました。
That was the origin of the curse. In other words, Oyashiro-sama selected those of little faith and made them sacrifices to the curse by making them targets for the demon hunt. And in response, the demons graciously devoured the pathetic humans selected for the sacrifice. In other words, those who turn a blind eye to Oyashiro-sama have their lives taken at the hands of the demons.
なんだかお社様ってマフィアの糸締めですね。
So true. When I look at Hanyu, I think of Mafia Boss also.
殺されるも殺されないもその神様の紫三寸ってわけですか。
確かに。そんなわけですからお社様に目をつけられてはたたりで命が危ないってことで人間たちは
I skipped. I'm crazy.
古くからのお社様信仰の根源なんですよ。
でもだったらなぜ人間たちはそこまで鬼の脅威にさらされてまでhinamizawaで暮らし続けたのでしょう。命の危険から逃れるのだったら別の土地に移住すればいいのに。
まあ詳しいことはわかりませんがそれだけhinamizawaの土地が住みやすかったのではないかと思います。ほらよく言うでしょ。火星は虎よりも猛なりと。
Is that a saying? I mean, it's probably true, yeah. Sure. Indeed, there's an old proverb that said even if it was dangerous to live near ferocious beasts, that was still preferable to heavy taxes and terrible work conditions. Oh, I get it now. Okay. That makes way more sense. She didn't know exactly she didn't know exactly what kind of forces were at work in the surrounding municipalities, but Onidafuchi village may very well have been a region of conflict and tyranny. Free of conflict and tyranny. It's an important word to miss.
彼らには決して作れない薬とか食べ物とかを提供していたという話もあります。ですから共存には確かにメリットもあったんですよ。
なるほど。しかし鬼たちも人間を狩るだけの力があるのによく人間の神様に従う気になりましたね。普通に考えれば無視して好き勝手に暴れ回ってもおかしくなさそうですが。
いやいや、実はそのお社
What the
様
heck?
自身が
Slander.
鬼だったんですよ。そして人間
That's new lore.
的に関わっていくことで彼らの信頼と畏怖を集め
This is the Oishi special, man. This was never mentioned before.
実際その後鬼たちは人間たちと交わっていきその血と本能を薄めつつ共存の道を歩んで現在に至るわけです。ですからhinamizawaの住人は
It is true. Rika does got that Hanyu blood in her. And it is said that the blood ran strongest in the Hinamizawa's ancient ruling parties, the three families, the Kimiyoshi, Sonozaki, and Furude families. They had a powerful voice in politics and rituals throughout the village, and they were able to lead the villagers to fight against the state in the campaign against the dam construction project.
つまり鬼とは本当の意味の化け物ではなく、狩猟で生活を営んでいた山岳民族のようなもの。
What?
食人はともかく、呪術的な習慣を持ち
I
合わせてい
mean
た彼らが山を降りて農耕民族の暮らす社会へと侵入し、征服か和平の道を見つけて共存した。
If you believe in the legends, I guess that's the rational way to talk about the demons.
お社様はさしずめ強力なカリスマを持った共通の指導者。そんなところですかね。
It's an interesting way of looking at it, actually. Good job, Tomoe, adding some spice to the lore we all know very well at this point.
ともえちゃんはリアリストだな。そういう文化人類学的な解釈じゃなく、言葉通り鬼と神様の話でいいじゃないですか。
あ、すみません。でも私ってたたりとか頂上の類をあまり信じられない性分ですから、お社様のたたりで人が死ぬって話も今一つピンときません。
I mean, true. Tomoe thought the idea of using a curse to subjugate people was utter nonsense in the first place. If spells and magic could control the fate of men, even life and death, then there was no point in the very existence of the police or the law itself. Even as she thought that, she believed it to be an inelegant way of thinking, however.
大石さん、
Tomoe couldn't help but tilt her head and stare when she noticed Oishi's oddly mysterious expression. He thought silently for a while, carefully choosing his words, before finally addressing Tomoe.
ともえちゃん、たたりで人が死ぬって話、ここじゃちっともバカバカしくなんかないんですよ。数ヶ月前にも人が確かに死んでいます。
Yeah, if it happens multiple times, it's a lot more valid than a one-off incident. People dying from a curse is not just some old tale, but something still happening today. Although, honestly, Tomoe was even more dubious than surprised. However, Oishi wasn't the one to tell ghost stories or joke around intending to scare someone, and he began talking in a matter-of-fact tone.
先ほどお話しした鬼の人食いの習慣なんですが、当時の村で年に一度綿流しという儀式が行われて、そこで鬼への生贄が捧げられていました。それは生贄に選ばれた人間が腹を裂かれて、つまり腹綿ですね。それを川に流してたたりを沈めるという内容だったと言います。そしてその儀式は今もなおhinamizawaにおいて続けられている。
Minus the sacrifice.
まさかと思いますが、それが本当に行われているわけじゃないんですよね。
まあ、さすがに腹綿は流しませんよ。今では布団とか着物とか普段使っている綿製品の中の綿を流すことで、お世話になっている日用品に感謝するという意味合いに変化しています。
よかった。
Tomoe was relieved to hear that. Even if it was a small, remote town deep in the mountains, she couldn't accept that such an inhumane act was being conducted out in the open.
しかしですね、その代わりと言っちゃなんなんですが、hinamizawaではここ数年、その綿流しのお祭りの晩に奇妙な事件が起こっているんですよ。
奇妙な事件？
殺人ですよ。あと行方不明者も出ています。これは冗談でも何でもなく本当のことなんですよ。
3 years ago, the dam construction manager's dismembered body was discovered. One of the people involved in the murder ran away and was still missing. 2 years ago, a man who went against the villagers' wishes and accepted aid money from the state for supporting the dam construction project died in a falling accident. His wife allegedly fell off the cliff together with him, but her whereabouts were still unknown. Last year, the shrine priest and head of the Furude family, one of the 3 families ruling the area who had taken a neutral stance in the campaign against the dam project, suddenly died of an unknown illness. And his wife seemingly committed suicide by jumping into a nearby swamp. A will was found, but her body was never discovered. And then,
今年もやはり一人が死んで一人がいなくなりました。
that happened on a Sunday in June. A housewife was murdered late at night in the outskirts of the village. Shortly after the village's Higurashi festival was held, she was the sister-in-law of the dam supporter who died 2 years ago.
そういや、ともいちゃんに竜宮レイナの件を依頼した時にはお話ししていませんでしたね。顔を鈍器か何かでそれはもうひどく潰されていまして。犯人は相当怨恨とか憎悪を被害者に持っていたようですね。もともとこの綿流しには奇妙な言い伝えがありまして、この祭りが行われた晩に一人が殺され、そして一人が行方不明になるなんてことが起こると言われています。そして今年もそれが繰り返された。
行方不明者が。
ねえ、殺された主婦の息子さん。
Oh.
ああ、いや、正確
Yeah,
なおいなん
there
で
you
すね。
go.
事件発生から数日後、突然行方不明に。
その子は事件に何か関与していたのですか？
関与とは？
例えば被害者に対する感情とか、事件当日のア
Nope,
リバイ
he
とか。
did it. As soon as Oishi heard that, he let out a light ho, as if impressed. In a murder case, it's typical for someone who disappears right after the incident to be considered a suspect. However, thanks to the pattern of deaths from the curse, ordinary people would regard the missing person as another victim. So being able to identify him as a potential culprit based on that basic information was a testament to her excellent organizational skills.
いや、
Sure.
さすが勘がいいですね。実はその主婦殺しの重要参考人としてマークしていました。もともと彼のアリバイにはいろいろと不審な点がありましてね。しかも家庭内の不和、その直前の不審な言動、犯行に踏み切るだけの要素が揃いすぎていた。ですから泳がせつつもその動向を伺っていたのですが、
捜査の手が及ぶ前に逃げたと。それでその行方は？
新幹線の駅で似たような人物を目撃したという証言はあったんですが、結局ダメでした。その代わりにいきなり真犯人と名乗るやつが出てきたので、捜査もそこでストップしちゃったんですよ。
They still never really explained that. I mean, obviously it's a Tokyo plant, but they never outright said that. I don't think Takano said that,
誰だったんですかそれ？
but obviously it was.
頭のおかしなやつで変な薬をやっているとの。もっとも取り調べ中に自殺したそうで、詳細はよく分かっていませんが。
本当にそれは犯人だったんですか？
わかりません。県警ではそういうことになっています。ただ脈絡も動機もはっきりしない上、突然降って湧いたように現れたってのがどうもうさんくさくて信用できない。今でもそのいなくなった甥っ子が犯人だと私は思っています。確信と言ってもいいかもしれない。それになんとなくこれは刑事としての勘なんですがね、その一個は単に家庭不和による怨恨から殺人を犯したとはちょっと思えない。
True.
もともと妹思いの優しい子で、衝動的に暴力に訴える性格ではなかったそうですからね。ですから勝手な憶測だと言われることを覚悟で申し上げれば、その子は何も
No.
そして消された。
It wasn't really anyone's intention.
そんな気がしてならないんです。
But I guess it was something. I mean, something else's intention, aka the syndrome.
つまりさっきの話ですよ。親代様。それが彼を突き動かしたのではないかと。
そんな。
Tomoe couldn't say it was impossible. In fact, she uttered the name. She thought of the girl who resorted to violence for some unknown reason.
では、竜宮玲奈もそれと同様に沢村浩平を。
まあ何ら確証はありませんが、ありえない話ではないと思います。親代様が文字通り頂上のものか、それとも村の総意によるものの代弁なのかは私にもわからない。ですが、その意志は普通に生活を送っている人を死に追いやったり、あるいは殺しに駆り立てたりすることができる。そんな力を持っているってことになりませんかね。
Drive someone to murder. So, was the previous incident between Reina Ryuju and her classmates instigated by someone else's will? If so, what on earth is the connection? Why would Reina Ryuju commit an act of violence in a town that had nothing to do with Hinamizawa?
正直、わからないことだらけで頭が痛くなります。
まったくですな。何にせよ、竜宮玲奈には確かに謎があると言ってもいいのかもしれません。調べてみて損はないかと。
ですね。すみませんが、大石さん、沢村浩平死亡時の竜宮玲奈のアリバイを念のためにし。
わかりました。それで、ともえちゃんは？
一度、竜宮玲奈がどんな子か、この目で見てみたいです。本当に私が聞いたイメージ通りの子なのか。
Tomoe rested her chin on her hand after saying that. Reina Ryuju and Hinamizawa village. She wanted to uncover whatever the connection was between the two of them. Perfect chapter break spot too. Glad they're giving regular chapter breaks now, so we don't just have to wing it. Okay, good episode. We got some comedy, some Tomoe versus Delinquent action, some Natsumi making a surprise appearance, and some Oishi talk. And a tip too. Tip me, baby. See what that's about before we wrap it up at the flower bed. In the end, I ended up going after school. For now, I decided to visit the flower bed in the yard before heading to the faculty room. One section of the flower bed was maintained by the gardening club, and the multicolored autumn flowers were in full bloom. Just then, I ran into a classroom from the club who was doing some weeding. She raised her head to look this way, and her eyes opened wide as soon as she saw me. So after the Reina incident, the girl grabbed me by my arms and looked at me with moist, cloudy eyes. A face that could burst into tears at any moment. She was seriously worried about me. She had been caring for me every day since the incident and trying to encourage me. Until a little while ago, I thought she was a thoughtless and aloof girl, and I was surprised to see so much compassion out of her, and I was glad to see it. I didn't have any friends who I considered close friends since transferring here, but she was the only person I told about the incident with Kohei-kun. The girl rubbed her muddy face to fight back the sobbing as tears came trickling out. When I saw that, I couldn't help but burst into tears too.
沢村くんのこと。
Well, a little too
すご
early.
く優しい刑事さんと知り合ってね、できる限り力になってくれるって。さっきも電話でいろいろとお話ししていて遅くなっちゃったの。
The detective named Minai wasn't just getting information out of me. She was carefully choosing her words to make sure I didn't get hurt and her attitude felt sincere. Of course, there's still parts of the investigation she couldn't tell me about. Nevertheless, she always apologized in those cases and explained why she couldn't talk about it. And in the middle of the conversation, she'd always say things like, "Please cheer up and I'll definitely keep my promise." I appreciated the encouragement.
すごく忙しい人みたいなんだけど、そんなこと感じさせないっていうか、さっそうとしてかっこよくて、なんか憧れちゃうんだ。キャリアウーマンっての？すごいな、女性で刑事さんなんて。
That's right. The people who embrace earnest aspirations like that allow us to ask adults for help no matter how desperate the situation is. And we do our best to become those sorts of adults. That's why I want to become an even more amazing adult. Maybe that person can. Maybe she'll believe me if I confess what Kohei-kun told me on that day. No, I'm certain she'll believe me and help me out. I'm still a little worried, but next time we meet, I'll be bold enough to talk about it.
あ、そうだ。ここのコスモス、あと少しで咲くよね。ちょっとだけもらってもいい？うん、いいけど、どうするの？綺麗に咲いたら、刑事さんにプレゼントしたいなって。喜んでくれたらいいな。
This Thursday, Manai will be doing office work in the police station. When I called earlier, that's what the detective that answered told me. The detective said she might be too busy to see me if I go in to visit her, but I'm certain Manai will make time for me. Come to think of it, what was that detective's name? Who, Awishi? Obviously, she's not referring to Manai. She kept saying Manai. Unless that's like a sign that her memory is wonky. Anyways, interesting. As always, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time as we, Tomoe meets, Rena, which should be pretty cool. But until then, see ya.